Arthritis and joint stiffness, they affect millions of us. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to control your life. So today, we're going to break down how targeted physiotherapy can be this incredible tool to help you manage that pain and, most importantly, get you moving freely again.
So let me ask you something. Does this sound familiar? You're looking at a flight of stairs and you kind of hesitate. Or maybe getting up from your favorite comfy chair just feels like a huge effort. If that daily ache, that stiffness, is holding you back from doing the things you love, well, you're definitely not alone. And the good news, there is absolutely a path forward.
All right, before we can talk about solutions, we've got to understand the problem, right? So let's peel back the layers and ask, what is actually happening inside a stiff, painful joint?
Okay, so arthritis, it sounds like a big, scary word, but at its heart, it just means inflammation in a joint. I want you to picture the smooth, cushiony surfaces inside your joints. Over time, they can start to wear down a bit. And that wearing down, that degeneration, is what causes that classic combo of symptoms: pain, swelling, and that frustrating stiffness. And this isn't just a random thing. Arthritis tends to show up in the body's hardest working parts. We're talking about the big players, your knees and hips, which carry you around all day long, your spine, which is literally your backbone, and yeah, even your shoulders and hands, the very things you use for, well, almost everything.
You know that feeling when you wake up in the morning and you feel, well, just kind of stiff and locked up? Or maybe it's after you've been sitting and watching a movie for a bit. If that sounds familiar to you, that's a huge clue. It's basically your joint sending up a little flare saying, hey, I need some help here.
So when is it time to stop just, toughing it out and actually get some professional help? Let's dive into some of the really clear signs.
Okay, I want you to think of this as your own personal checklist. Let's go through it. Is the stiffness just persistent? Does it hurt when you walk or go upstairs? What about swelling after you've been active? Do you feel like the muscles around the joint are just not as strong as they used to be? And here's a big one. Really listen to this. Are you starting to avoid doing things because you're scared it's going to hurt? If you're nodding along to any of these, that's a really clear sign that it's time to take the next step.
All right, so let's say you've recognized some of those signs in yourself. The best part is there's a really clear, structured plan to move forward. So let's pull back the curtain and see what that physiotherapy journey actually involves.
So it's not just a bunch of random exercises. It's a whole journey. First up, the assessment. We got to figure out exactly what's stiff, what's weak, and where you're limited. Then we get to work. We build up the muscles around the joint to give it more support. We work on mobility to get that range of motion back and cut down on stiffness. Then we practice real-life stuff like walking and balancing. But here's what's so important. Pain relief and education are part of every single step. You're not just getting a fix for today. You're learning how to take care of your joints for the long haul.
Okay, I get it. When you're in pain, it's easy to have questions, and maybe even a few fears about what comes next. So let's just tackle some of the biggest myths out there right now. This is probably the #1 question people have. It sounds crazy, right? The idea of exercising a joint that already hurts? Won't that just make it a whole lot worse? The answer, surprisingly, is no. And the key word here is guided. This is not about gritting your teeth and pushing through horrible pain. Not at all. It's about doing smart, targeted exercises that build up the muscles around the joint. It's like you're building a natural muscular brace for that joint, which actually takes the load off and helps reduce both pain and stiffness.
All right, here's another big one I hear all the time. People think, well, my arthritis is really severe, or it's just my age, it's too late for me. So can physiotherapy really help in those cases?
Yes, absolutely. A good physio program is never a one-size-fits-all thing. It's completely tailored to you, to your pain levels, your mobility, right where you are today. Look, the goal isn't to get you running a marathon next week. It's about safely, step-by-step, improving how you function in your everyday life.
And now for the big one, the question that's probably on a lot of minds: surgery. Can doing all this actually help you avoid something major like a joint replacement?
In a lot of cases, the answer is a huge yes. Think of a structured rehab program as your best, most powerful first line of defense. It's not invasive, and by improving your strength and the way your joint works, you can often seriously delay and, sometimes even avoid the need for surgery altogether.
So let's wrap this up. What is the real end goal of all this? Honestly, it's about way more than just reducing pain. It's about getting back that feeling of moving with confidence.
And that's exactly why having a professional guide you is such a game changer. You're getting one-on-one attention, a plan that's based on actual science, and a focus on your long-term mobility. You're not just guessing.
You're getting a plan that is safe and one that actually works.
So if there's one thing I want you to take away from all this, it's this idea right here. Arthritis might be a part of your story, but it does not get to write the ending. It doesn't have to define how you move or how you live your life. With the right proactive approach, you really can manage the symptoms and take back control. So I'll leave you with this. What part of your life are you ready to get back?